How many chances does a young, electrifying talent get to truly find his footing before a fresh start becomes the only viable option? Good evening, hockey fanatics, and welcome to your channel name, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of the game's most compelling narratives. Tonight, we're dissecting a saga that has become almost synonymous with the Toronto Maple Leafs offseason. The perennial trade rumors swirling around Nick Robertson. Is this finally the year the dynamic winger finds a new home? Or will he, against all odds, carve out a permanent niche in the blue and white? The Toronto Maple Leafs, a franchise perpetually under the microscope, are once again navigating familiar waters. Last season, we saw a similar drama unfold on the defensive side of the puck. The team started with glaring inadequacy of right-shot defensemen, a problem they eventually addressed by trading Connor Timmins and Timothy Liljegren, ultimately bringing in a steady presence like Brandon Carlo. Now, as the new season looms, the spotlight shifts to the forward group, and specifically to a player who seems to have a permanent reservation in the rumor mill, Nick Robertson. Robertson's journey with the Leafs has been nothing short of a roller coaster. He's a player who, despite consistently finding ways to put points on the board whenever he's in the lineup, has left many within the organization, and the fan base feeling a touch underwhelmed by his overall impact. It's a curious paradox. A player who produces offensively but struggles to fully integrate into the team's broader vision. And let's be clear, this isn't due to a lack of effort. Robertson is a relentless competitor, an ambitious young man who pours everything he is into his game. But the undeniable truth is his size, or rather his lack thereof, has undeniably limited his game in several crucial aspects. In a league increasingly dominated by bigger, stronger bodies, Robertson's smaller stature often puts him at a disadvantage in puck battles, along the boards and in front of the net. This isn't a criticism of his heart or his skill, but pragmatic observation of the physical realities of professional hockey. And because of these persistent questions, the relationship between the Leafs and Robertson has, for some time now, felt undeniably tenuous. It's a dance of potential versus practicality, and it's reaching a critical juncture. Now, let's talk about the whispers, the speculation that fuels the hockey world's insatiable appetite for trade talk. Nick Robertson, despite his perceived shortcomings in Toronto, has certainly produced enough to pique the interest of other teams across the league. We're hearing names like the Chicago Blackhawks, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the San Jose Sharks consistently popping up in connection with the young winger. And it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? While Robertson might find opportunities limited on a deep, competitive roster like the Maple Leafs, his raw potential, his undeniable shot, and his offensive instincts are incredibly attractive to teams that are either rebuilding or looking to inject some much-needed scoring punch into their leaner lineups. Imagine Robertson on a team like Chicago or San Jose, where he wouldn't be buried on a fourth line or a healthy scratch. He'd likely be given top 6 minutes, power play opportunities, and the freedom to play his offensive game without the immense pressure of a cup-contending team. It's not just speculation. It's a logical conclusion that a production would likely hit career highs in such an environment. For the Leafs, however, the return for Robertson might not be as grand as some fans might hope. We're probably not talking about a blockbuster deal here. There could be an opportunity to swap Robertson for an equally dissatisfied player from another organization, a change of scenery trade that might not directly address a glaring need for the Leafs, but could offer a fresh perspective for both players involved. Alternatively, a late-round draft pick could be on the table, a move that would signal the Leafs are looking to bolster their future assets. But perhaps the most significant return for Toronto in a Robertson trade isn't a player or a pick at all. It's the cap space. Moving Robertson's contract, even if it's not substantial, could open up crucial financial flexibility, potentially serving as a precursor to a much larger, more impactful trade down the line. In the high-stakes world of NHL general management, sometimes the best move is the one that creates options. Let's shift our focus to the internal dynamics of the Maple Leafs roster. With the newly formed defensive structure, a lineup now brimming with versatile centers, dedicated penalty killers, and a greater emphasis on bigger, more physical bodies, one might think there's finally a clear path for Robertson to thrive. The idea is to create a more balanced attack, a lineup that can roll for dangerous lines, and Robertson's offensive flair could certainly add a unique dimension. However, The reality is that Robertson is far from the only option vying for a spot in this revamped forward group. The competition is fierce. We expect to see players like Max Domi or Matthias Maxelli anchoring the third line, potentially flanked by reliable veterans such as Nicholas Roy and Dakota Joshua. This leaves Robertson in a direct battle for a spot alongside players like Scott Lawton and Steven Lawrence, who bring different skill sets to the table. And let's not forget the defensive-minded options like Kaye Jarnkrok or David Kampf, who offer invaluable penalty killing and shutdown capabilities. Even a physical presence like Michael Petzetta could be in the mix. While Robertson undoubtedly offers a significant offensive punch to any line he's on, the Leafs have to weigh that against the other elements these competitors bring: defensive responsibility, physicality, and versatility. It's a delicate balancing act for the coaching staff, trying to construct lines that are not only offensively potent, but also defensively sound and physically resilient. Adding another layer of intrigue to Robertson's situation is the presence of promising prospect Easton Cowan. Cowan, a player with immense potential, could easily be sent down to the AHL to receive a slow play development, allowing him to hone his skills and gain confidence as a focal point offensively. This strategic patience with Cowan could, ironically, buy Robertson some valuable time. If Cowan isn't immediately pushing for an NHL roster spot, it gives Robertson a longer runway to either prove his undeniable value to the Leafs or, perhaps more likely, increase his trade value for a potential move later in the season. We saw a similar pattern last season with the defensemen. The Leafs waited until well into the season to trade Liljegren and Timmins, carefully assessing their options and maximizing their return. It's entirely plausible that the same measured approach could be applied to their forward group this season, giving Robertson some initial time to showcase his abilities, perhaps even on a line where he can truly shine, could be a shrewd move. It allows the team to evaluate his fit within the new system and, if a trade is ultimately deemed necessary, ensures they're getting the best possible return for a player who still possesses significant upside. The Leafs are playing a long game here, and every piece of the puzzle, from veteran contracts to burgeoning prospects, is being carefully considered. Ultimately, the Toronto Maple Leafs have time on their side when it comes to Nick Robertson. As the primary concern for many within the organization and the fan base remains the team's offensive consistency and depth, Robertson's ability to generate scoring chances could very well provide that much-needed boost to solidify a dangerous four-line attack. In the long run, it's widely anticipated that Robertson, as an unrestricted free agent down the line, might opt for a fresh start elsewhere, making a separation at some point seem inevitable. But for now, he has a golden opportunity to prove his worth, to silence the critics, and to help the Leafs establish themselves as a truly formidable offensive force. So, what's your take on the Nick Robertson saga? Do you think he'll finally break through in Toronto, or is a trade the best path forward for both player and team? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell us what you believe the Leafs should do. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the heart of hockey's biggest stories, please hit that like button and subscribe to your channel name for more exclusive insights and passionate analysis. Until next time, keep your sticks on the ice and your heads up